The phone rings 3 times before I pick up, and Daniel's voice comes through with that nervous tremor I know too well. The one that means Vanessa's involved. Mom, we're thinking of coming up to visit this weekend. All of us. Even Lily. My fingers tighten around the receiver. That's unexpected. I watch Mark through the kitchen window, his broad shoulders hunched over the tractor engine. He'll want to know about this right away. I'm Alexa, and my life revolves around 2 things, this farm and my family. Sometimes they're one and the same. Sometimes they're at war. Vanessa's idea, actually, Daniel says, and my stomach drops. His wife suggesting a visit to our farm is like a wolf suggesting dinner with sheep. She says Lily should know where her father came from. Of course, I say, keeping my voice steady. We'd love to have you all. The lie tastes bitter. We haven't had them here since that Christmas 3 years ago when Vanessa spent the entire time making snide comments about the smell of manure and how she couldn't believe Daniel grew up in such rustic conditions. Great, Daniel says, relief flooding his voice. We'll be there Friday evening. I hang up and step onto the back porch, the wooden boards creaking beneath my feet. Mark, I call out. We need to talk. He looks up, wiping grease from his hands with an old rag. One look at my face and he knows something's wrong. 28 years of marriage does that to people. Vanessa's coming, I say when he reaches me. With Daniel and Lily. His face darkens. Why now? That's what I can't figure out. She hates this place. Hates everything we stand for. I lean against the porch railing, feeling the rough wood under my palms. Something's not right. Maybe she's changed, Mark offers, but his tone suggests he believes that about as much as I do. I shake my head. People like Vanessa don't change. They just get better at hiding what they want. The next few days pass in a blur of preparation. I clean the guest room, wash the windows, and bake Lily's favorite cookies. All the while, that nagging feeling grows stronger. Every time I think about Vanessa's sudden interest in visiting, alarm bells ring in my head. Friday evening arrives with the sound of tires on gravel. I stand in the doorway, watching their sleek city car pull up, looking absurdly out of place next to our weathered pickup truck. Lily bursts out first, her little legs carrying her straight to me. Grandma. She crashes into my legs, and for a moment everything feels right. Then Vanessa steps out, designer boots crunching on the gravel, her face a mask of practiced politeness. Alexa, she says, air kissing my cheek. The place looks quaint. Behind her, Daniel gives me an apologetic look. He's always giving me those looks lately. We've prepared your old room, I tell him, hugging him tight. He feels thinner than last time. Thanks, Mom. He pulls back, glancing at Vanessa. We really appreciate this. Over dinner, Vanessa picks at her food while Lily chatters about kindergarten. I notice how Vanessa's eyes keep darting around the dining room, lingering on the antique cabinet where we keep the important papers. The deed to the farm. The bank statements. The inheritance documents. That's when it hits me. The real reason for this visit. So, Vanessa says, setting down her fork. Daniel and I have been talking about the future. About making some changes. I meet her gaze across the table, and in that moment, I see it all, the calculation behind her smile, the hunger in her eyes. She's here to take something from us. And I'll die before I let that happen. Sleep doesn't come easy with Vanessa under my roof. At 3 a.m, I'm still lying awake when voices drift up through the heating vent. Daniel and Vanessa, arguing in the kitchen below. We can't keep living like this, Vanessa hisses. The credit card companies are calling every day. I shift closer to the vent, my heart pounding. Mark's steady breathing beside me tells me he's still asleep. I told you, I'll figure something out, Daniel says, his voice tight with frustration. But we are not asking them for money. Why not? This place is worth a fortune. Your parents are sitting on hundreds of acres while we can barely make rent. The sound of a chair scraping across the floor. That's their retirement, Vanessa. Their legacy. Our legacy. Legacy? She laughs, sharp and bitter. What good is a legacy when we're drowning in debt? When was the last time you looked at our accounts? Silence follows, heavy and damning. Then Daniel speaks, his voice smaller than I've ever heard it. How bad? Bad enough that we might lose the house. Bad enough that your precious master of business administration might as well be toilet paper. I press my hand against my mouth, stifling a gasp. Daniel's business, the consulting firm he started 2 years ago, was supposed to be thriving. He'd told us everything was fine, that they were comfortable. If you'd just let me talk to them, Daniel starts. About what? How you failed. How your big city dreams turned to shit. Vanessa's voice rises dangerously. I didn't marry a farmer's son to end up poor. The next morning, I find Daniel alone on the back porch, watching the sunrise paint the fields gold. I hand him a cup of coffee and settle beside him. Rough night? I keep my voice casual, though my hands shake slightly. He takes a long sip before answering. Just couldn't sleep. Daniel. I touch his arm gently. Talk to me. Everything's fine, Mom. But he won't meet my eyes. Is it? Because I remember when you used to tell me everything. Before Vanessa decided we weren't good enough for you. His head snaps up. That's not fair. Neither is lying to us about your financial troubles. The coffee cup freezes halfway to his mouth. You heard. Enough to know you're in trouble. I lean forward, forcing him to look at me. Why didn't you come to us sooner? Because. He sets the cup down hard enough to slosh coffee onto the porch boards. Because I wanted to prove I could make it on my own. That I didn't need the farm to succeed. Before I can respond, Vanessa appears in the doorway. There you are. Her eyes dart between us, suspicious. What are you two talking about? Nothing important, Daniel says quickly, standing up. Just catching up. I watch them walk away, Vanessa's hand possessive on Daniel's arm. Through the kitchen window, I see her speaking intensely to him, gesturing with sharp movements. He nods, defeated. Later that afternoon, I find Mark in the barn, going over equipment maintenance logs. We have a problem, I tell him, and relay everything I heard. He listens quietly, then asks, what do you think they'll do? Something desperate. I pace the length of the barn. You saw how Vanessa was eyeing our documents last night. She's looking for a way out, and I'm afraid she'll take Daniel down with her. We could help them, Mark suggests. Offer to. No. I stop pacing. Give Vanessa an inch, and she'll take the whole farm. We need to protect ourselves first. Alexa. Mark's voice carries a warning. He's our son. Exactly. I turn to face him. Which is why I won't let her destroy everything we built for him. For both our boys. Through the barn door, I see Vanessa walking toward the old oak tree where Daniel proposed to her 3 years ago. She's on her phone, speaking urgently, glancing over her shoulder to make sure no one's watching. But I am. And I'm starting to understand exactly what we're up against. I need to make some calls, I tell Mark. Starting with our lawyer. Because sometimes protecting your family means protecting them from themselves. The letter arrives 3 weeks after their visit, addressed to Daniel but delivered to our mailbox by mistake. My hands shake as I read the bank's letterhead, and for a moment, I consider sealing it back up, pretending I never saw it. But that moment passes. What I find inside turns my blood to ice. Loan application papers, with our farm listed as collateral. Vanessa's signature is there, a perfect forgery of Daniel's name beside it. I'm still staring at the documents when Ryan's truck pulls into the driveway. He's home early from college, and the sight of him, so much like his brother at that age, makes my decision for me. Mom? He finds me in the kitchen, papers spread across the table. What's wrong? Your brother's wife is trying to steal our farm. Ryan picks up the loan application, his face darkening as he reads. Does Daniel know about this? Daniel doesn't know much these days. I start gathering the papers. But he's about to learn. My phone buzzes, a text from Mark. Vanessa just showed up at the North Field. Says she needs to talk. Stay here, I tell Ryan. If Daniel comes by, keep him busy. The drive to the North Field takes 7 minutes. I spend each one rehearsing what I'll say, how I'll handle this. But when I see Vanessa standing there in her designer boots, all my careful plans evaporate. I wondered how long it would take you to figure it out, she says as I approach. No pretense now. No fake smile. Forging signatures is a felony. I hold up the papers. What were you thinking? I was thinking about survival. She takes a step forward. About not losing everything because Daniel can't let go of this. This dirt farm fantasy. This dirt farm has supported 3 generations. And it could support 3 more if you just sell part of it. Her voice rises. Do you know what that southeastern parcel is worth? The developers? Developers? The pieces click into place. That's who you were talking to on the phone. She lifts her chin. At least they see the potential. Unlike you and Mark, living in the past while Daniel drowns in debt trying to prove himself. Daniel chose his path. Daniel chose wrong. She steps closer, dropping her voice. But I can fix it. We can fix it. Sign over that parcel, and everyone wins. Daniel's business gets saved, you keep most of the farm, and I. She pauses. I make sure Lily stays in your life. The threat hits like a physical blow. You'd use my granddaughter against me? I'd do whatever it takes to secure our future. Her eyes are cold, calculating. Think about it, Alexa. 1 signature, and all our problems disappear. I look past her to the fields beyond, where Mark and I raised our boys, where Daniel took his first steps, where Ryan learned to drive a tractor. Where Lily might someday. No, I say quietly. Our problems are just beginning. Don't threaten me. But there's a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. I'm not threatening. I'm promising. I hold up my phone, showing the recording app running. And unlike you, I keep my promises. The color drains from her face. You. Leave. Now. Before I call Daniel and play this for him. She backs away, stumbling slightly in her impractical boots. This isn't over. You're right about that. I watch her retreat to her car. Tell Daniel he has until tomorrow to come talk to me. After that, these papers go to the police. Later, as the sun sets, I sit with Mark on the porch, both of us too tired to speak. Ryan brings us coffee, then settles in his old spot on the steps. What now? He asks finally. I take a sip of coffee, letting the warmth steady me. Now we wait. And we pray your brother makes the right choice. But as darkness settles over the farm, I know prayer won't be enough. Sometimes love means making the hard choices for those who can't make them themselves. And I've always been good at hard choices. Daniel doesn't come the next day. Or the day after. Instead, the developers show up at our gate, all pressed suits and hollow promises. I watch from the kitchen window as Mark sends them away. When he comes inside, his jaw is set in a way I haven't seen since his father died. They had preliminary paperwork, he says, dropping into a chair. With Daniel's signature. Real ones this time. The coffee mug slips from my hands, shattering on the floor. Neither of us moves to clean it up. He chose her, I whisper. He actually chose her. Ryan appears in the doorway, his face grim. Mom, you need to see this. He holds out his phone, showing me a real estate listing. Our southeastern parcel, already marked as pending development. The date shows it was listed 3 months ago. 3 months? My voice sounds strange, distant. But that means? Their visit wasn't spontaneous, Ryan finishes. They've been planning this since before Vanessa suggested coming here. The pieces click together with sickening clarity. The careful examination of our documents. The sudden interest in family heritage. Even Lily's presence, a shield against our suspicion. My phone rings. Daniel's name flashes on the screen. Where are you? I answer, not bothering with hello. Mom, please. His voice cracks. You don't understand. We're about to lose everything. The house, the business. Vanessa says? Vanessa says? I cut him off. What about what your family says? What about the generations of Thompsons who built this farm? It's just land. The words hit like a physical blow. Behind me, Mark inhales sharply. Just land? I struggle to keep my voice steady. This farm put you through college. Paid for your Master of Business Administration. Gave you the capital to start your business. And now you're willing to destroy it because your wife can't manage money? Silence stretches between us, heavy with unspoken accusations. We're coming over tonight, he finally says. To talk about this properly. No. The word comes out sharp, decisive. You don't get to negotiate after betraying us. You want to sell? Fine. But first, you'll have to explain to your daughter why she'll never run through these fields again. Why the house her father grew up in will be bulldozed for condominiums. Don't bring Lily into this. Why not? Vanessa already did. I hang up before he can respond. Ryan and Mark watch me, waiting. Get the lawyer, I tell Mark. And call that private investigator friend of yours. I want to know everything about Vanessa's finances. Everything she's hiding. Mom, Ryan steps forward. Are you sure about this? Once we start. They started this, I snap. Then, softer, sometimes you have to burn a field to save the farm. That evening, I sit alone in Daniel's old room, running my fingers over the model tractor he built when he was 12. The door creaks open, and Mark joins me. The investigator called back, he says quietly. Vanessa's been moving money offshore. Large amounts. None of it traceable to their legitimate accounts. My hand tightens around the model tractor. She's been planning to leave him. Looks that way. Once the development deal goes through. She takes the money and runs. I set the tractor down carefully. Leaving Daniel with nothing but a ruined family and a destroyed legacy. Mark sits beside me, his shoulder warm against mine. What are you going to do? Through the window, I can see the oak tree where Daniel proposed, where generations of Thompsons have carved their initials. Where Lily might have carved hers someday. Whatever it takes, I say, and for the first time since this began, my voice doesn't shake. We're not just fighting for land anymore. We're fighting for Daniel's future. Even if he doesn't know it yet. Outside, a car approaches. Headlights sweep across the bedroom wall, and I hear the crunch of gravel under tires. They're here. And I'm ready. The manila envelope sits heavy in my hands as Daniel and Vanessa settle onto our living room couch. Ryan stands by the fireplace, arms crossed. Mark takes his place beside me, silent support in the gathering storm. Before you start, Vanessa says, we have a counterproposal. I slide the first document across the coffee table. Like the proposal you made to Riverside developers 3 months ago? Her practiced smile falters. Daniel reaches for the paper, but she snatches it first. Where did you get this? The same place I got these. I empty the envelope. Bank statements. Offshore accounts. Transfer records. They scatter across the table like autumn leaves. Tell him, Vanessa. Tell Daniel about the money you've been hiding. Daniel's face drains of color as he picks up a statement. What is this? These amounts. It's not what you think, Vanessa starts, but I cut her off. It's exactly what he thinks. $2 million, siphoned from your joint accounts, your business. Hidden away where you thought no one would find it. Danny, she's lying. Vanessa grabs his arm. Your mother's trying to destroy us because she can't let go of this worthless. Worthless? Ryan's voice cracks like a whip. This farm paid for your wedding. Your house. Your lifestyle. And now it'll pay for my freedom, Vanessa snaps, then freezes, realizing what she's admitted. Daniel stands slowly, papers clutched in his trembling hands. You were going to leave me? No. I mean, not like that. She rises too, reaching for him. I was protecting us. Your business is failing, we needed a backup plan. By stealing from me? His voice rises. By selling my family's land behind my back? The land was just the beginning, I say quietly. Show him the divorce papers, Vanessa. The ones you filed last week. The silence that follows is deafening. Daniel sways slightly, and Ryan steps forward to steady him. I can explain, Vanessa whispers. Explain what? Daniel's laugh is hollow. How you played me. How you used our daughter. Don't you dare bring Lily into this. Vanessa whirls on me. You did this. You dug into my private affairs, turned my husband against me. You did that yourself, I say, standing. The moment you decided to destroy my son's life for your own gain. She moves faster than I expect, her hand striking my cheek with a crack that echoes through the room. Mark lunges forward, but I hold up my hand to stop him. That's assault, I say calmly, touching my stinging face. Would you like to add it to the list of charges? Charges? The color drains from her face. Fraud. Embezzlement. Forgery. I tick them off on my fingers. The police are very interested in those fake signatures you've been using. You wouldn't dare. Try me. Daniel steps between us, his voice eerily calm. Where's Lily? Safe, Vanessa says. With my sister. Bring her home. He turns to face her fully. Bring my daughter home, or I swear I'll. You'll what? Vanessa's laugh is brittle. Fight me for custody? With what money? I have proof you signed away your inheritance. Your business is bankrupt. You're nothing without me. He has us, I say quietly. He's always had us. She looks around the room, at the united front we present, and something in her breaks. Fine. Keep your precious farm. But remember this moment, Danny. Remember who chose dirt over your daughter's future. She storms out, the screen door slamming behind her. Daniel collapses onto the couch, head in his hands. What have I done? He whispers. I sit beside him, pulling him close like I did when he was small. What you had to do. And now we'll do what we have to do. Which is what? I meet Mark's eyes over Daniel's bowed head. He nods slightly. Now, I say, we fight back. For real. Outside, Vanessa's car roars to life. But she's forgotten something crucial about farm families. We know how to weather storms. We know how to rebuild from ruins. And we know that sometimes, the hardest harvest yields the sweetest fruit. The police can't find Lily. Those 4 words echo through our kitchen like gunshots as Daniel paces, phone pressed to his ear. Vanessa's sister claims they never arrived. 3 days of searching, and nothing. My hands won't stop shaking as I dial Vanessa's number for the 100th time. Straight to voicemail. She's gone dark, Mark says, hanging up his own phone. Bank accounts emptied yesterday morning. Her passport was used at Toronto International Airport. Daniel hurls his phone against the wall. It shatters, pieces scattering across the floor like the fragments of our family. This is your fault, he says, turning to me. If you hadn't pushed her. Don't, Ryan warns from the doorway. Don't you dare blame Mom for what Vanessa did. My daughter is missing. Daniel's voice breaks. My 5-year-old daughter is gone because we had to protect this goddamn farm. The words hit harder than Vanessa's slap ever could. I steady myself against the counter, feeling the smooth granite under my palms. The same counter where Lily stood on a stool last Christmas, helping me bake cookies. The police have alerts out, Mark says. She can't hide forever. She doesn't need forever, I whisper. She just needs enough time to disappear with my granddaughter. The detective arrives an hour later, bringing news that makes my knees buckle. 2 fake passports were purchased last month. Adult and child. The trail leads to Mexico, then goes cold. International custody battles are complicated, he explains, his voice carefully neutral. Without proof of immediate danger to the child. She stole $2 million, Daniel interrupts. She forged documents, committed fraud. And we'll pursue those charges. But right now, she's Lily's legal guardian, with no custody restrictions. Unless we can prove she's putting the child in danger. Get out. Daniel's words are ice. Get out of my mother's house. After he leaves, silence fills the kitchen like smoke, choking us all. Ryan starts cleaning up the shattered phone. Mark makes calls to our lawyer. Daniel stares out the window at the farm he nearly lost, the legacy that now seems to have cost him everything. I reach for him, but he steps away. Don't. His voice is hollow. I can't. I can't be here right now. He walks out into the gathering dusk. Through the window, I watch him head toward the oak tree, his shoulders shaking. We'll find her, Mark says behind me. We'll hire private investigators, contact the embassy. And then what? I turn to face him. What have I done to our family? I was so focused on saving the farm, on stopping Vanessa, that I didn't see. I didn't think she'd. The phone rings, startling us all. Unknown number. I answer on speaker. Hello? Having fun playing detective, Alexa? Vanessa's voice fills the kitchen. Daniel rushes back inside, face pale. Enjoying your victory? Where's Lily? I fight to keep my voice steady. Safe. Happy. Away from all of you and your obsession with dirt and tradition and legacy. She laughs softly. You know what's funny? I was going to settle for half the farm's value. Now I have something worth so much more. Please, Daniel begs. Please, just let me talk to her. Oh, Danny. Her voice softens with mock sympathy. Always so willing to negotiate. But your mother taught me something important. Sometimes you have to burn it all down to win. This isn't a game, I say. She's just a child. She's my child. And thanks to you, Alexa, she's all I have left. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to drop all charges. You're going to transfer the development rights to me. And maybe, just maybe, I'll send you a Christmas card with her picture every year. The line goes dead. Mark catches me as my legs give out. Ryan swears quietly. Daniel slides down the wall to sit on the floor, head in his hands. And I realize that in trying to save my family's legacy, I might have destroyed something far more precious, its future. The farm stretches out beyond our windows, dark and silent. 3 generations of Thompsons built this place. And in 1 generation, I managed to tear it all apart. The private investigator's file lands on my kitchen table with a dull thud. Inside, Vanessa's past spills out in stark black and white, a childhood spent in foster homes, a mother who abandoned her at 6. A father she never knew. Found something else, he says, sliding across a photo. Taken 3 days ago. My hands shake as I pick it up. Vanessa and Lily, walking into a small cafe in Puerto Vallarta. Lily's wearing the blue dress she wore to our last Sunday dinner, her hair in the braids I taught her to make. She's staying at her mother's place, he continues. The same mother she claimed was dead. The irony tastes bitter in my mouth. All this time, we thought we were fighting a monster, when we were really fighting a scared little girl who never got over being abandoned. I make the call before I can change my mind. Come to get your pound of flesh? Vanessa answers on the first ring. I'm in Puerto Vallarta, I say quietly. At the cafe where you took Lily yesterday. Silence crackles across the line. How did you? The same way I found out about your mother. About the foster homes. About everything you've been running from. You don't know anything about me. But her voice wavers. I know you're doing to Lily exactly what was done to you. Taking her from everyone she loves because you're afraid of being left first. Don't you dare? Meet me, I cut in. Just us. No police, no Daniel. 1 hour. She laughs, but it sounds forced. Why would I do that? Because deep down, you know this isn't about the farm anymore. It never was. The cafe is empty except for us. Vanessa sits across from me, fingers drumming against her coffee cup. She looks smaller somehow, without her designer clothes and careful makeup. Where's Lily? I ask. Safe. With my mother. Her lips twist. Ironic, isn't it? She gets to play grandmother now that it's convenient. Like you're playing mother by kidnapping your own daughter? Her cup slams down. I didn't kidnap her. I protected her from becoming another link in your chain of obligation. Another Thompson trapped by duty and dirt and love? I lean forward. That's what really scares you, isn't it? Not the farm or the lifestyle. But the fact that Daniel chose it. That he chose us. He chose wrong. But tears glitter in her eyes. No, Vanessa. You chose wrong. When you decided to punish him for having what you never did, a family who would die to protect him. Protection? She barks out a laugh. Is that what you call destroying our marriage? Digging up my past? Making me look like a criminal? You did that yourself. I just exposed the truth. The truth? She stands abruptly, chair scraping back. Here's the truth, I'm leaving. Tonight. Somewhere you'll never. You mean like your mother left? The words hit like bullets. She freezes. How old was Lily again? 5? 6? The same age you were when. Stop it. Make it right, Vanessa. I stand too, keeping my voice low. End the cycle. Give Lily the choice your mother never gave you. Choice? Her laugh is wet with tears. What choice? Between losing her mother and losing her father? Between having one parent who runs away, or two who stay and fight for her. She sinks back into her chair, shoulders shaking. I wait, watching the battle play out across her face. Finally, she pulls out her phone, dials with trembling fingers. Mama? Bring her to the cafe. A pause. Yes, now. When she looks up at me, her eyes are both defeated and defiant. I want full custody. Joint custody, I counter. And mandatory counseling, for all of us. We heal together, or we break apart. And the farm? We'll be there when Lily's old enough to choose for herself. She nods once, a quick jerk of her head. Outside, a car door slams. And suddenly Lily is there, running through the door, her small feet carrying her straight to the space between us, where she stops, uncertain which way to turn. In that moment, looking at my granddaughter's confused face, I realize something crucial. Sometimes the greatest act of revenge is choosing not to take it at all. The harvest moon hangs low over the fields as I watch Lily chase fireflies across the front lawn. Behind me, voices drift from the farmhouse kitchen, Daniel and Vanessa in another counseling session. Their words muffled but no longer sharp with anger. Mark joins me on the porch, passing me a cup of coffee. Ryan called. He's bringing the new irrigation plans tomorrow. I nod, thinking of our youngest son's determination to modernize the farm while preserving its heart. Some changes, I've learned, strengthen rather than destroy. Grandma. Lily runs up, cupping something in her hands. Look what I caught. The firefly pulses between her fingers, its light steady and sure. Like her, it refuses to be contained for long. When she releases it, it spirals upward, joining others in their ancient dance above the fields. Can I show Mom? She asks, already turning toward the house. Give them a few more minutes, sweetheart. I smooth her hair, so like Daniel's at that age. They're talking about important things. The screen door creaks, and Vanessa steps out. Her eyes are red, but her shoulders are straight. She manages a small nod in my direction before calling to Lily. Time for bed, baby. But Mom. Listen to your mother, I say quietly, and Lily sighs dramatically before hugging us goodnight. As they head inside, Daniel emerges. He looks exhausted but somehow lighter, as if setting down a heavy load. The therapist thinks we're making progress, he says, leaning against the porch railing. Vanessa's agreed to move back to town. Not with me, but close. For Lily's sake. And the development plans? Cancelled. He turns to face me. Though she had one condition. My grip tightens on my coffee cup. Oh. She wants to invest part of her settlement in Ryan's irrigation project. Says if the farm's going to be part of Lily's inheritance, it should be sustainable. The irony startles a laugh from me. Mark squeezes my shoulder, understanding what I can't quite say. Sometimes victory looks nothing like you imagined. Inside, we hear Lily's voice, bright with excitement. Can we plant sunflowers tomorrow? Grandma said they follow the sun. We'll ask her to show us how, Vanessa responds, her voice carrying a note I've never heard before. Not quite warmth, but no longer cold. Daniel pushes off the railing. I should go. Early day tomorrow. He hugs me, and I breathe in the scent of him, still my little boy beneath the man's cologne and business casual. When he pulls back, his eyes are clear. Thank you, he says softly. For fighting for us. All of us. After he leaves, Mark and I stay on the porch, watching the fireflies rise and fall like stars come down to dance. In the distance, the old oak tree stands sentinel, its branches reaching toward the harvest moon. Was it worth it? Mark asks finally. All the pain, the confrontation? I think of Vanessa's face when Lily showed her the firefly, how something ancient and wounded began to heal in that moment. I think of Daniel, finding his way back to himself. Of Ryan, building on our legacy instead of being buried by it. Ask me again in 20 years, I say. When Lily's old enough to decide if she wants to chase fireflies or city lights. And if she chooses the city? Then she'll choose it freely. Not running toward or away from anything. The screen door opens one last time. Vanessa steps out, hesitating when she sees us. Lily wants to know if you'll teach her about the sunflowers tomorrow, she says stiffly. I meet her eyes across the porch. Only if you'll learn too. Something shifts in her expression, not quite a smile, but a crack in the wall between us. She nods once before disappearing back inside. Above us, the harvest moon continues its ancient journey across the sky. Below, the fields stretch out like a promise kept, generation after generation. And somewhere in between, a family learns to grow again, in soil enriched by the very storms that threaten to destroy it.